Geezer Butler. Okay, back out at the 2012 model, guys. Plan on servicing the CVT here today. I've got a new pan because the pan is pretty bitched on this car. I'm not sure if it's actually perforated, but it very well could be. You'll see the state of it when I'm looking at it underneath. What I mean by that is it's weeping. You know, it's corroded to the point where potentially it's leaking right through. We'll be able to see when we get the look at the back side of the pan. It's difficult to tell by just the underside. But I've got the gasket. I bought a filter kit here. I don't know if this part number actually means anything, you know, Chinese generic kit. This CVT is in many different vehicles. This is really just a strainer, guys. This is really the oil filter, or I should say the cooler filter. I'll show you where that actually lives. There's a bit of disassembly involved, so I can actually get access to it and remove the battery and the air filter housing, and it kind of lives under here-ish. So I get access to it. I'll remove a couple of bits, and yeah, we'll see how it goes. I've just got the car on the ramps at the moment, but obviously I'll level it for the fluid servicing. Speaking of which, I'm not going to give you the particulars on this fluid, guys. I will show you their website that says it's compatible with Suzuki Green 1 and 2. Which is the spec that the manual actually calls for. But you decide for yourself what fluid you want to use. I'm not going to specify any particular fluid. And while I'm at it, I am only an amateur mechanic, guys. This is I'm not trying to represent this as how you do it. This is how I'm going to do it. So this this car is relatively new to me, guys. I know the older style SX4 is a fair bit better than this, so struggling with a few simple pieces here. So yeah, just a single bolt on the air filter, and there's two pins that are mounted in rubber. And you can see that pin looks like it has been broken long ago because probably somebody struggled to get it out. Just the same way I did. Yeah, lube them up because sometimes they can be really stuck to the point where, as you can see, you can break them. And I have done so in the past. Full disclosure. Yeah, here's the housing. Here's the housing here. There's 4 bolts on it, guys. You can see the 2 lines, the in and the out, and that's where the oil cooler filter actually lives. As you can see, this support for the battery tray is obviously bit of an obstruction, but I think we'll manage. I removed the intake duct snorkel here, guys. It's only 2 bolts, again, just in the interest of getting some decent access here to the filter housing. So with respect to capacity, guys, the manual actually says 10 liters, believe it or not. That's why there's 2 jugs here, 5-liter jugs. Now, considering obviously there's going to be some fluid trapped in the system, you're not going to be able to drain every drop. The torque converter, the coolers themselves are going to hold some oil, as well as the galleries that are not going to drain, I suppose. It's hard to say exactly how much we're going to need, but I don't want to get in a situation where at 5 liters I'm short. And if you try to buy this by the liter, it's nearly as much as buying a 5-liter jug anyway, so I bought 10 liters. It must have been serviced at some point in the past. That is obviously not green. I assume Suzuki Green is green, which is fine. It smells okay. It doesn't smell burnt, and it does look rather dark though, doesn't it? That one is extremely limited access. Use a deep 10mm offset spanner like this. Nothing else I've got actually fits. So here's the inside of the pan here, guys. Disregard these couple of flakes there from the structure, you know, when I'm moving around underneath. So there's two magnets on here, as you can see, that collect the garbage. Sorry, just in the frame here. And there is a wee bit of swill there, obviously. But the bottom of the pan itself, yeah, there's some rubbish. I don't see any chunks. I don't see any large filings. Although, it's not gray, is it? This is the trouble, we really having no sense of when was this changed. If this was changed a week ago, we're in big trouble, right? If this was changed, you know, 100,000 kilometers ago, maybe it's okay. But in a situation like this, what option do you have? We're going forward anyway, right? This is what I'm talking about on the pan here, guys. Let me zoom in so you can see it close. You see how the paint, there's a few spots where the paint is actually breached. Like, you don't want that getting stuck in one of the small valves, right? That's not good. So here's the strainer removed, guys, and I'm happy to see it looks very clean indeed. Which is, oops, sorry, a bit too close for you there. Especially nothing in it. Now, if you're going to buy a kit that actually, and you're not going to bother changing the oil cooler filter, I'm not sure I'd buy the kit, to be quite honest, because clearly, if you know, there's nothing in that strainer, it could be cleaned and reused, apart from the O-ring, but it's cheap enough, I suppose. You'll likely need the pan gasket anyway. you know, this is just the way the world works sometimes. In spite of your best efforts, you know, you try to follow the manual to the letter, you torque things up, you torque them in sequence, things will leak. How come? Why do they leak? Well, in this case, honestly, I think it's down to the quality of this gasket, because this feels like, honestly, cheap rubber. You know, it came in a small box. I don't know if you guys recall the box I showed you, I think, but it was kind of like this in the box, you know. I don't know. It seems to me packaging speaks to the quality of the inside the packaging, right? So I've got myself a Fel-Pro replacement here. This was as much as the entire kit with the two filters, well, the strainer, the filter, and the gasket, right? So this was 35 bucks. That kit was, I think, around $30. So it's cost me an additional $30 to replace the gasket, because this is poor quality and leaking, right? Or is it $35? Well, there's another box from Amazon with a $70 jug of fluid, because I'm not going to put that fluid back in, you know, like that's senseless to me. Again, the manual says it holds 10 liters. I put in like 5 1/4, 5.5 liters. Of course, the gearbox holds some. So I'm not going to put that fluid back in. That just seems ridiculous, right? So, like everything else, guys, is the little kit okay? Yeah, the strainer and the filter seems okay. The gasket is apparently garbage. So if you enjoy doing the work twice, buy cheap, right? I don't know when I'm going to learn this lesson. I'd have been better off just buying the OEM gasket from the get-go. It was like $85 or something, but anyway. I guess the silver lining in having to do the gasket again is I'll have a higher ratio of new fluid in the gearbox. You know, of course it retains just a little less than half the capacity when you change the fluid, so maybe I'll have 66%-ish, 2/3 new fluid. It'll still retain some fluid, obviously. So there's the plate, 4 bolts that need to be removed for the CVT cooler, guys. Again, there's 2 coolers. One is integral to the radiator itself, so it's kind of a fluid coolant exchange, and then the one in the front that I showed you, which is air oil exchange, right? So the coolers appear to be in series, although I couldn't tell you which one is in the loop first. I don't know which one is the pressure and which one is the return line here. So there's the 4 bolts at the plate, guys. Get the lower rear bolt from below with just a 1/4 inch. There's not much torque on it. 1/4 inch drive in a 10 mil deep socket. All the bolts are the same size. Take your time. Don't force anything. Steel bolts in an aluminum housing. Work it back and forth if need be. Use plenty of penetrating oil if need be. Okay, I've got some rags underneath this, of course, to catch any spill. I know that's not a great angle for you guys to see it. I'll bring it down in a second. There's the O-ring. So there is the plate removed there, guys. Again, the O-ring is already been removed. There's the filter sitting in its housing, of course. Let's remove that. There it is. Sorry about that, guys. I know you couldn't see much. So there's inside the housing. And here's the back side of the plate. Where the O-ring goes, of course. So there's the kit filter in the original there, guys. And the O-ring appears to be virtually identical. Same wee trick with a wee bit of grease on the O-ring. You just hold it in the housing while you line everything up. So here's the cooler filter dissected, and of course this is the core, which keeps it from collapsing. So assuming the pressure is on the outside going in, that would make sense, right? If it was the other way around, it could blow out the paper. But there is a few little particles in there, and as I said, I think this is the pressure side, because on this side there's really nothing. So this is the initial filtering surface, I believe. Let's get a closer look. A nugget. I don't know. Kinda interesting. What does it conclude? Nothing. But kinda interesting to see. It's not massively contaminated, so I guess that's worth something. Is this, how meaningful is this? Hard to say. And just be careful with this, because when you drop that in, you do not want that to dislodge, and then of course you'll have no seal on the filter. This will be pointless. In fact, it will be probably constricting the flow. You're not going to be able to see much here, guys, but you're not really at a disadvantage, because I can't see much. It's kind of a by-field job to locate that filter. So there's the filter. You can see how it sits, sitting straight in the housing. As I said, just double check your seal hasn't gone adrift on you. So put the O-ring in the recess there, guys. Again, I greased it up just to hold it in situ. Just a little skiff of grease, nothing excessive. And yeah, don't dislodge the filter or the O-ring when you position this. I'm not going to be able to film this because I want to get this right. I'll bring you back when it's in position. Again, I don't have a torque spec for this, guys. I suspect it's probably 72 inch-pounds like everything else. Same size fastener, diameter-wise, pitch-wise. But I'm not going to lie to you, I don't know, because it's not in the manual. So I'm just going to snug it up. As I said, get the lower rear fastener from the bottom, 1/4 inch. We 10-inch, we 10 mil deep socket. You'll manage it. Yeah, good. So it's the next day, guys. I ended up pissing around editing what you're actually watching, and it got late, and I thought, I'll leave the fluid servicing till tomorrow. So the car is level at this point, guys, as you can see. Yeah, so I've got the fluid. So we're just gonna first things first. I left a note for myself last night. I didn't check the actual plug. Who knows where it's torqued to? You get it in the package. 25 foot-pounds. Yeah, so I'm just going to look up the service here, but basically initially we're just going to the dipstick is a little bit weird. I'll show you in the manual here how you actually read it. But it's basically add cold and full cold, and add hot, full hot. So there is a procedure in the manual here. You're supposed to be at 20 to 30 degrees room temperature. I'm a wee bit below that, so maybe we'll just shoot for just below the full cold mark initially. And then again, I'll take you back to the manual. There's a little bit of a procedure once you go through as far as checking it at the hot level. So the dipstick is removed here, guys. I'm perhaps at the risk of making a wee bit of a fool of myself. I cannot find a fill plug on this transaxle anywhere. So I think I'm just going to fill it through the dipstick tube. I've just got a stack of funnels here, so it fits tight, as you can see, and I can access it fairly high. Yeah, so I'll just go about actually putting in, I don't know, I'll just put in a few liters at a time and monitor the level. I certainly do not want to overfill this, guys. It's much easier to just adjust the level towards the high mark, obviously, than actually drain it. So yeah, I'm going to go down and torque the drain plug first. You know, sometimes you don't notice these clever little engineering details. You see how that on the terminal there, how the stud is actually on an angle? It looks like somebody's just grossly over torqued it and twisted it. Well, that's the case on all my SX4s, and I think that is actually done intentionally so that not only does it give you better tooling access to tighten up the clamp, but it minimizes the likelihood that you're going to short to ground. You know, if you've actually, people will put the ground on first, and then, you know, you can short to ground if the chassis is actually grounded with your tooling, right? But it minimizes the likelihood of that. I have this little cheap composite ratchet just for installing batteries, just to minimize the likelihood I'll have a mishap. While on the subject of batteries, mini rant. So a couple of weeks ago I was working on my buddy's car, and there was no battery hold down. It was just sitting in the tray, just floating, you know, secured by the cables. And this is an aftermarket battery hold down, clearly. What are people doing with the battery hold down? Like, how do these go missing? I really don't understand. How do these things go missing? Okay, so after the initial fluid adding there, guys, you can check it with the car actually running as per your handbook there, right? If you don't have the manual, so you can see I'm just above the full cold mark now, and now I'm going to carry a leak check. A quick look at the leak check I'm carrying out. You can hear the car running in the background there, guys, and I'm just using my border scope to actually check that the O-ring on the filter housing cap is tight and everything looks okay. On an unrelated issue, I'm in here pulling out some aftermarket wiring rubbish. this switch here, guys, which sits here, right, on the park brake, the console here. On my other SX4, this switch here was for electronic stability program. The symbology on this switch is different. And I was thinking, I think in 2012 traction control became mandatory, so this is clearly the traction control symbol. But is this electronic stability program, or is it only traction control? The reason I ask is it electronic stability program because just above the airbag module there, those are the accelerometers, if I'm not mistaken. Anybody know? Sing it in the comments. Yeah, I'm not sure if this is just a terminology issue, or they are distinctly two different systems, electronic stability program and just traction control. But yeah, if anybody knows, be appreciated. Okay, so since the initial leak check is okay, guys, I put the under tray plastic back in position because it was completely missing. Fortunately, kept this from my other car before I scrapped it. Long story, but anyway, yeah, I'm going to treat that pan with some surface shield in a few weeks time, I guess, once I'm convinced that everything is, you know, fluid tight, not leaking. But yeah, I guess we'll get on with driving it and the hot adjustment, fluid adjustment. This under tray plastic, guys, inevitably gets all smashed up, you know, just chunks of ice on the road, running over curbs, whatever you run over. But you can extend the life of it significantly just by, you know, plastic welding it up. Nothing more than a screwdriver heated on a blowtorch, basically. It's no really rocket science. It's thermal molded. It was formed by heat. Heat can put it back. It doesn't last forever, but as I said, significantly extends the life of your plastic. So for the final hang on, better let him out. Okay, so there's a bit of a procedure here, guys, for the final fluid level adjustment in the hot condition. It's a bit involved. I'm not going to read you the whole thing. I'm just going to page through it. You can stop the video and read it for yourself. If the shop manual is a wee bit too involved for you, which is understandable, in your handbook 721 you'll find the CVT fluid adjustment requirements. Details are in there, simplified. So I'm just setting my scan tool up here, guys, just so I can see the CVT fluid temperature. Go a TCM live data. Continuously variable transmission fluid temperature, currently at 31 degrees. I don't know if you guys can see that or not. So I'm going to drive around the neighborhood a wee bit here and see if we can bring temperatures up and try and get in the target area there. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. If you recall, the target temperatures were 40, about 5 foot of gears, and then 80. So honestly, guys, I'm gonna do the best I can. I'll try and get it in and around 80 and try and do the sequence they ask for. We've got some drive. That's good. Look, an SX4. You see the level there, guys? I don't know if you'll be able to tell by the glare. Difficult to see. I'm happy with that. It's really difficult to see. The level is right on the left hand side of the H. So basically it bang on in the middle. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Okay. Yeah, I guess I'll leave it at that. I've done a bunch of other work while I was actually doing the CVT service, guys, so it took quite a while. But you can bank on just to get the level adjustment correct at the end here is really the most time consuming part of the job. The gearbox, the cooler filter takes a bit of time as well. One of the fasteners was giving me a bit of grief, so that took quite a while. And what else apart from that? The pan and the gasket, that's all okay. You do need there is tricky access to the left corner, forward corner. There's one fastener there that's tricky to get to, but apart from that, and it took from draining it to servicing it to this level that I just showed you. Of course, I had to break into the other 5-liter jug, so I would say it took 5.5 1/4 liters from drained to where it should be level wise. Now the manual says 10 liters, obviously that's from dead empty. Again, it took about 5 1/4 liters to get to. Can you see it? You can't see it, the camera's just not picking it up, but believe me, it's just on the left side of the H. That's it, boys. Cheers.